Hi, this is Keith with the Farm to Table Direct Show, and I'm here with my buddy Andy, and he's been kind enough to show us his small square footage garden setup. And got a little bit of a chance earlier this year to check it out before he ever started growing. He showed me the setup. Well, this is just now a time that I've gotten back here to take a look at how well it's done. And I'm just going to kind of ask a few questions of Andy here. And this type of setup is named, what do you call this setup, Andy?
Well, it's container gardening for the most part, but these right here are a wicking tub style of watering setup. I think it was kind of made famous by Leon, Gardening with Leon on YouTube.
Right.
And he's got several different iterations of it, and I've seen a lot of other people mimic what he's done and make different things, and they just freaking work. They just work.
Well, in these wicking tubs, what all have you got growing, and what kind of square footage have you got here?
Well, I've got, basically it's on a 5x8 trailer.
So we're talking
It's
roughly 40 square feet.
40 square feet. Each one of the wicking tubs that has tomatoes in it, other than this one, I had one die, has got 2 tomato plants in it. And they're all, most of them are all determinate tomatoes, and they're canning tomatoes. They all come due at once.
Now, by determinate and indeterminate, what's the difference between those two?
Well, a determinate tomato has a determined amount. It's going to grow so big, it's going to put on so much fruit, and then it's going to basically, when that fruit is harvested, the plant's done. So you can actually load them back up and go with something else. And I've never tried them. Kind of a big ass science experiment.
Right.
So that's what we're doing here is just trying to learn, and because you can read about it and look at it, but
until you do it,
you don't have any idea on the process. And it's easy. You don't have to come out and weed it. You don't have to water it every day. It's
so speaking of watering, about how often have you been watering this?
This time of year, it's not been real hot. I'm watering about once a week, but as it gets hotter, it'll probably be twice a week, depending on how hot it really gets. But
yeah, so one of the questions that I had is, why did you put it on a trailer?
Well, the trailer is something I'd started a long time ago doing with smaller containers, which didn't work real good. But you can start everything a lot earlier, so you don't have to worry about the frost. You can pull it into a covered area, a shop, or whatever, or hail, or inclement weather, just any kind of natural type of weather.
Right.
thing.
So like we are used to here in the state of Oklahoma, we get that kind of a late surprise frost.
You
and
always get a late frost,
and you never know. It'll trick you.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you can pull this.
I can
undercover in a shop,
Yep.
or whatever you have to do in order to.
And hail.
Oh, yeah.
Hail will just
get quite a bit of
beat
that
the
too.
fire out of it.
You bet.
And it'll kill all your stuff.
High winds.
High winds.
Right.
And
what about chasing sunlight? I mean, can
you can
reposition?
Yeah.
Or something
If you've got something that needs 6 to 8 hours of direct sun and then shade, you can modify that with just natural obstacles. We're in the shade right now, and it's probably some of the hottest part of the day, and it seems to work really well.
Yeah, so this particular system here you're calling that a wicking bucket,
It's
right?
a wicking tub.
Wicking tub.
Yeah.
Okay. And in these wicking tubs right now, can you kind of go through the plants that you've got in here
Well,
and tell us what all you're growing?
sure. These back here now I have an earth box. Never tried one. I've got 6 bell pepper plants in an earth box right here. They're doing really well. As you can see, everything else is too. Basically, every one of these wicking tubs that has tomatoes in it, they're all determinants, and there's 2 in each one. So they recommend 1 per, but I'm kind of greedy and limited on space, so let's see what we can do. And everybody seems to be happy.
Yeah, they look extremely happy
Yeah.
here. One of the things when we were talking earlier, you were showing me just how thick these stalks are. Can you pull in close here and kind of get an example of one of these stalks?
Okay, the stalk, that right there is one of the main stalks, and they're
thick.
The root system
Strong.
on those is strong, and that goes by with the wicking style or air pruning. The roots. Never grown any cabbage. I got a couple cabbage going, and they're killing it. Onions. Never had any luck with onions because
I've seen your onions down there earlier. So this is your cabbage.
There's my cabbage.
And then right in here is the onions that you've got.
Yep.
And over there on that side, in
Yep.
that corner is
romaine lettuce.
romaine lettuce.
And I had onion left over, so I threw some onions in there because
Now, is romaine lettuce one of those that you can kind of harvest the tops off of and they'll continue to grow, or is that a different kind?
you can actually, I have harvested a lot, and you can just come in and rip leaves off. So if you're wanting to have a salad for the night, you can just pull leaves like that, wash them up, cut them, you're good to go, and it's gonna put more on. This tight head of lettuce, that's what you buy at Walmart, is a head of romaine, and it's actually has a lot more nutritional value than iceberg does. So and it's good right out of the garden.
Right.
I mean, just
Right. Naturally,
It's
this
just-
is the benefit of
it's
coming
just-
over to interview somebody about a garden.
it's just, I mean, you can taste it.
Yeah.
It's not got any harsh chemicals. It's water and nature's source is what I've been using on it, and like I said, everybody's happy. I've never had any luck growing onions in the ground because we get a lot of rain here, and they'll get either overrun with grass or they'll rot in the ground because of the rain. And this right here, this style of tub, it'll only hold so much water, and then it will actually wick out.
Before we're gonna show them here in just a little
Okay.
bit how that setup works.
Okay.
And I think that weeping hole is an extremely genius idea.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
But here was something that really impressed me. Now we're setting right toward the end of May. When did you put these out?
We
seedlings.
we planted me and a friend of mine, Tump, started these seeds in February, and then we fostered them, or he fostered them, and then we planted everything, all the tomato plants and the bell pepper plants, April 30th.
Right.
And today is May 27th.
Right. And you showed me a picture a little earlier. I'm going to show the people. You were supposed to send that to me.
I did.
And okay, thank you. And you started them at the end of April, and this, at the time of this recording, is right at the end of May. And this is what it looks like. And you'll be able to compare and contrast how far they've come in roughly around 30 days or so, a 1 month period. Yeah, it's really quite amazing. And right over here
This- Yeah.
one of these wicking tubs and kind of explain to us here about how that system works.
This right here is kind of, I think, Leon's last iteration of his wicking tub. So it's basically, it's a mineral tub that he's drilled a half-inch hole 3 inches up. This is 4-inch French drain material that's got covers over the end to keep the soil out.
Right.
Then you've got your fill tube, which has got a 45-degree cut on the bottom, so it doesn't get kind of, it'll put the water out. But you fill it about halfway, and then you pack it in these areas right here. That's what they would consider the wick. So it works kind of like an old coil or an old lamp, oil lamp. And it basically, you fill it up with water until it starts running out the weeping hole.
Right. Now, right over here, if you can just look right down here, this is about how high he's got the wicking hole. And what would you say? That's about
3
about
inches.
3 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the bottom to the wicking hole. And so it can't hold more water than what it actually needs. And so, and it continues to wick up into the roots of the plant.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the reason that you can actually water once a week in the early season, and then, twice a week, in the ground, in a garden. I mean, if you get really, really hot weather, you've got to water almost every day, every other day, just to keep your plants alive. And then your tomatoes are going to they're going to start to split because they're getting too much water or not enough water, and they're busting.
And one of the things that I would like to point out here is that using a wicking tub or a system that's very similar to this, you don't have as high maintenance once you set it up, but there is a little bit of a cost. Of course, natural ground is going to be more labor intensive, but not maybe as expensive to do. But you have to continue to weed a standard garden in the ground. But how much weeding have you done on this, Andy?
I haven't done nothing. I haven't done no weeding.
There you go.
And that's the beauty of it.
Right.
And for people that live in the city, or that have an apartment and have like a little balcony that's got 20 or 30 square foot, you can put a few of these out and make a salsa garden.
Right.
And just have you some fresh stuff. I mean, you can 5-gallon buckets. There's everything out on the internet that for gardening. I got so many resources that I follow that it's, I mean, we'd be here for 20 minutes talking about all the
Probably
people
more
that
than
I follow,
actually,
because they're just extremely knowledgeable.
Right.
And it is what it is. I
Okay.
mean,
In one of these buckets, Andy, roughly how much would it cost to make a wicking tub like this?
well, the thing is sometimes you can find the buckets for nothing from farmers that have cows. As you can hear, I have cows out here, and you can get the buckets for nothing, or you can find somebody that sells them. I think I paid $6 for some of the orange and the blue ones.
Right.
And
$6 for a bucket.
$6 for a bucket. And then you've got, a minimal cost in a piece of PVC, and I used 1-inch PVC. And then you've got a little bit of cost in the French drain material, probably $2 a foot.
$2 a
So
foot.
there's
and
there's $10. There's 5 foot there.
So
And
you
then-
got $10 in your French drain.
Yep. $1, $6. Okay, so there's $16.
$16 so far. And then
Okay.
you got your material, your soil.
Your potting mix, and that's what you got to use, is a potting mix. You can't use a potting soil because potting soil is too heavy, and it won't react the right way. But the potting mix is basically 2 cubic feet. We'll put it up about where you need it. A little more is better, but for the most part, another $11. So yeah,
$11
you're
for
20. Yeah,
this
you're $27.
potting soil.
You're $27
Roughly.
into that
Okay.
for a real easy system to use.
Right.
Now, you can buy an earth box. Earth box makes them, and they're $35. whatever they are on the website.
Right.
And Home Depot sells a similar product that works the same way. But for somebody that's kind of a DIY person, or, you know, it's just cost effective to do that. And I went hard this year. I mean, I've got 18 wicking tubs in play right now, and they're all killing it. I mean, they are working really well. I use the planting method from Leon on his website, and it's just very little bit of amendment that you got to do to the soil to give it what it needs.
Right.
Also,
you're talking about this minerals.
Yeah, the minerals.
Basically the fertilizer.
Yeah,
type.
but for the most part, he was saying that he's using tubs. He's used tubs for 9 years.
I mean, for $30, and all you have to do is reconstitute the soil. You don't have to change the soil or anything in the bucket, but you just have to basically re-add back in the nutrients.
The nutrients that the plants took away from the potting mix.
Right. And there was one other thing that I remember that you was talking to me about, and that was that you changed your fertilizer to a different number at a different time.
Right.
In the beginning, it was mostly to get the plant health going.
Right. The NPK number, the nitrogen, phosphorus, and then potash, soluble potash, those three numbers, they kind of mean something whenever it comes to planting. This is all new to me because I just kind of shot from the hip and went willy-nilly.
And you know what? I think that is amazing, because, you know, a lot of people are in our audience probably have never done this before. And, you know, this is your first year of doing like this.
Doing this, yeah.
And
researching. And researching,
right.
Researching it and everything. And the thing, like we was saying, is the N number, the first number, is kind of, the way I understand it, is for plant growth. So you're getting the plant established, and you're getting it to where it's starting to bloom and throw blooms and getting ready to fruit. Well, when it gets to that point, you need to up the phosphorus number, which is the second number, and that way it aids in the fruiting process and makes the flowers, the blooms set, and the fruit come on. And there's just tons and tons of good information out there. And you know what? Ask somebody that's been gardening for a long time, and they'll tell you all kinds of little tricks, because they want you to succeed. And that's what it's all about, helping everybody out.
That's right. That's right. Well, Andy, we're going to wrap up this this little segment here, and I do appreciate you allowing us to come out here and take a look at what you've done, and I'll say I'm kind of blown away about the results. And like you said, it's your first year, and so anyway, we're just going to kind of close this up, and I'm going to give you a little piece of your lettuce, and we're going to toast to this harvest. All right.
I hope it's fabulous.
Until next time, this is Keith and Andy with the Farm to Table Direct Show.
Keep it local.
Yeah, that. You know this, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Right. Prepare for the unexpected and
Keep
it local. All right.